And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land, a part of the Fanatical Elves Network. I am Ethan Greenberg, and joining me tonight is Nate Bope. Nate, what's up? Thank you for
What's
joining.
up? I know. Thanks for having me on. I know you don't have. It's just us two today.
It is just us two. You are a distinguished guest here, friend of show. So glad to have you on, joining us, Nate. Just before we get rolling into all that's going on, because yeah, I don't know. There's always something going on in Cleveland, and
Actually, today.
it's never a dull moment. Mike over in the UK always on the watch here. Really appreciate that. Nate, what do you got? What do you got going on? Tell everyone who may not know who you are, where they can find you, and what your areas of expertise are. I know.
Oh boy, so much. Well, for a little background for those that don't know me, I assume that would be quite a bit. I graduated with a degree in sports media from a school in Nebraska, but Ohio has been my home. So I am now back working at a radio station in Bellefontaine on the western part of the state. There I'm helping do news coverage, but more importantly for this aspect, sports coverage. I called 15 volleyball games, including 6 tournament games this year. I'll be calling basketball games. I do the post-game show. We got one local team still in the OHSAA playoffs. But I am just a big old sports head. I also run a baseball podcast called Prospects of the Land. Trying to get that on a bigger network, which you helped set up. So thank you for that. Maybe we'll give you an update on that after the show or during the show. Who knows? Other than that, college football YouTube channel. November is the biggest month. In fact, we got playoff rankings going on right now, and I know we'll talk about some Buckeye football today. If you want to find me anywhere, Tailgate Nate 29 is my handle for just about anything. Drop the 29 and search me on YouTube. Add the 29 back, Twitter, Instagram, wherever else you want to peruse the socials. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to have you here. Folks, if you notice in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, I did put up a handy-dandy QR code there. So you can use your camera, and that will take you to the Going Nuclear CLE's YouTube channel, where if you would like and subscribe, check us out there. Not only are the podcasts on there, for those of you who might not know, I've gotten involved with a platform called Playback TV, playback.tv. And I've been doing an alternate play-by-play for Cavs games. So that's been a lot of fun and trying to build that up there. And Playback TV, quite frankly, is a really cool place to catch a lot of sporting events, of NBA events, and kind of watch along with other fans that aren't local. They're wherever. But it's a really good platform. Enjoying that. And also, as mentioned, part of the Fanatical Elves Network. With John Suchan, the Dog Pound South. We've got the Johnny Cleveland podcast, the Burning River Browns podcast, and so much more. The Browns Blitz. We've got a lot going on there, so be sure to check it all out. All right, Nate. We're gonna dive right in.
Sure, okay. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Let's talk about the debacle, the disgrace that we know as the Cleveland Browns.
Well, I mean, where do you start?
And that's a great question, Nate. Where do you start?
Well, I feel like we should start. I thought I was going to say something really intelligent and nothing. I mean, you take a look at this team, right? And let's just start before this week, all right? The Jets traded away their best 2 defensive players. It's not like Cleveland has played terrible defense. They've shown some okay-ish things from moments offensively. But, man, and Mike, you are absolutely right, man. The special teams, I mean, the Browns invent ways to lose games. I know the Dolphins are a mess. The Jets are still a mess. This is the most incompetent team in the National Football League. Period. End of story. I cannot, and this has got to be my Going Nuclear take, because nobody expected this team to be good, okay? Not a single soul expected this team to maybe even be halfly competitive. but the way that this team has organized themselves and has put themselves forward. First, the re-signing of Myles Garrett. What do you give him? Absolutely no help anywhere across anything at all. They did nothing to try to aid him. That includes the quarterback position, period. They did nothing to give the best shot possible for Myles Garrett, in my opinion. I know some people are going to say they did what they could, and Dillon Gabriel, I did not mind the draft pick. Yes, you question the height thing, but what really boggles my mind is when they drafted him, they called him a supercomputer. They called him a guy that could analyze and dissect and rip things off, bam, bam, bam. And he has done nothing remotely close to that. He has been abysmal. He cannot make the easiest, simplest throws that I guarantee you half of my non-athletic friends could go out and make. I mean, that's just a fact. Quinshon has been a very bright part to the offense, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's, all bad. Quinshon's been pretty good, but you move on from Dillon, you talk about the offensive line. When is it time to move on? It's got to be time at some point to move forward. And Myles Garrett has done a ton of things right this year, as he is always going to do. Not many people on this defense are giving him much help. Schlesinger has been a very, very nice draft pick. But let's put it this way. You allow 2 special teams touchdowns. You lose to a team that is widely known as the most dysfunctional, at least from a front office standpoint, in the entire NFL, even more so than the team that we root for. And you lose to a team with 42 passing yards.
Yeah, it's like you said, Nate. I think you hit on a number of things as you went through there to kind of highlight how bad this team is right now. And the new and improved and inventive ways that they manage to lose a game each week is quite. I mean, it's quite amazing. Although we see other teams blowing games as well. I mean, the Giants blew a game and it got their coach fired. I mean, he was going to be gone anyway at some point. That was kind of anticipated that Brian Daboll was going to be fired. And we'll get to the coaching carousel here in a moment. Dillon Gabriel. Actually, let me back up. I want to touch on something you said. You talked about where to begin, and you talked about Myles Garrett. I do think the defense is still very good. It is actually very improved. I think they did a great job, and we're going to talk about the draft pick. You talk about Mason Graham. You talk about Carson Schlesinger. Mason Graham, and this is a note that came in today, he was the first pick of the Browns first round for the first round. The Browns traded back from 2 to 5. Mm-hmm. They flipped with Jacksonville. They go ahead and take Mason Graham. Jacksonville takes Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter announced today, done for the season. And we have their first round pick next year. We need to root for them to lose. Every week that they lose is a huge win for the Browns, and that move on draft day. That, think about it, Nate. That trade, it got us the first round pick for next year. We got Mason Graham. He has been solid. It's not flashy. He's been solid. Oh. And we used the second round pick from Jacksonville that we got in that trade to get Quinshon Judkins.
Yep.
And so that was a good move. That was a very good move. But the plan at quarterback and the whole offense is just, what were they thinking? Let me ask you this, Nate. Do you believe that the idea was, given the draft picks we had and salary cap implications, the idea was simply, we are going to concentrate on defense, first, and then thinking ahead to the coming year and saying we will have draft capital built up. We have an additional first rounder. We've got all this draft capital built up. Then we can retool the offense and go after, in all likelihood, a high first round quarterback, unless by some amazing feat, Dillon Gabriel as it turned out, Shedeur Sanders turns into a franchise guy. And does that fit into a possibility or a narrative that maybe Jimmy Haslam is thinking, okay, I am not going to pull the trigger too quickly. I'll give him give him 2 years, because as he said, he made some comments. It's going to take time to dig out of this, blah, 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 blah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think you have to answer the question by looking at the talent that's going to be available in this draft class, right? If you want to just look at a quarterback standpoint, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, you're going to also have Ty Simpson that's going to be sitting up there towards the top of the list. Looking at it from an offensive line standpoint, Francis Mauigoa from Miami is spectacular. So is Spencer Fano at Utah. Both of those guys are elite. Caleb Lomu. I mean, Utah's got a bunch of great offensive linemen to try to go pick from. As far as wide receivers, I don't think anybody is in the same class as Carnell Tate. So maybe if you want to retool the wide receiver room, maybe you can try to go snag him. But, you know, I don't know why you would want to focus on it. To me, it just doesn't make sense to try to improve something that already was going to keep you pretty competitive, even if you didn't do anything. Like, let's address the problem areas here. Let's address the fact that you've had 40 plus starting quarterbacks in however many years, the embarrassing number. Let's address the fact that you don't have a wide receiver one on this team. None of your wide receivers have developed. And the one that you traded for that got you 1,000 yards last year is Sir Drops-A-Lot. It's unbelievable. Now, running back pick, they did really well with, and I really liked that Quinshawn pick. I thought he was the better back than Travion Henderson. And I mean, maybe you're comparing apples to oranges when you look at those two this year. Although for my money, I think Quinshawn has been a little bit better. I don't know why you didn't at least try to address that from some vantage point, because I mean, running back, yes, you had to fill in the void for Nick Chubb. And I kind of feel like that the organization felt that need, like, oh boy, I mean, the fans are not happy here. You know what'll make them happy? Let's draft a running back with tremendous upside out of Ohio State. That'll calm everybody down, right? I mean, that has to calm everybody down. And then what did they use those first, I think, 3 rounds of picks on? They used it on, well, defensive tackle, linebacker, and I'm not remembering what their third round pick was.
They got Fannin they got Fannin.
Oh, that's right.
They made. Well, I got to tell you, Nate. Let me ask you this, or pose it this way. First of all, to Mike's point, Gabriel is up for Rookie of the Week award, and who nominates these people? Their mothers. That is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm like, are you serious? Did he really get nominated for Rookie of the Week? Okay, all right, that has to be like a practical joke and bloopers. Do you remember that show? Maybe you're too young for that, Nate.
No, I love that show. That show is great.
Yeah, darn tootin' there. No, I think that they addressed some needs. They were hoping to hold together the offensive line. With Conklin coming back from injury, you were hopeful DeJuan Jones could stay healthy. Unfortunately, got rolled up on what should have been an illegal play anyway. Posick is fine. Batonio, you know he's at the end of his line, unfortunately. Teller is still good. The problem is the tackle situation is terrible. And you also have to remember, we've got this salary cap, debacle going on as well. And furthermore, we knew about the JOK issue. So they had to get a better linebacker. So the Carson Schlesinger was a good pick. I actually do want to give credit where credit is due. We were limited.
Oh,
yeah. I think it was a good draft class, but this whole thing with, we should have known that this was not going to be this year. It's not about this year. It was going to be a multi-year situation.
It never has been.
Right. And I think there were a lot of people are upset, but that really should be where the focus is. Dillon Gabriel, have you seen enough?
Yes. Get him out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think he's going to improve anymore. He's not going to grow overnight. All right. The guy's not going to get a stronger arm overnight. He is who he is. And it just is not going to work. I'm sorry. We've seen this in Cleveland. We've seen enough of our 40-plus quarterbacks since 1999 to know that this guy is not the dude. He just doesn't have the physical traits and assets. I think that the discussion they had was he was more pro-ready than Sanders. So he comes in a little bit ahead of him there. But then at the end of the day, Sanders has more talent. He's got the higher ceiling. but he certainly has some learning to do. They need to get him on the field, and I'm hopeful. And well, it may not even be a hopeful thing. He might get destroyed by the Ravens this weekend, Gabriel.
I mean, if we want to move, I literally don't know what else we could touch on. If we want to move into the Kevin Stefanski discussion, and okay, I've always backed Kevin. I generally tend to back coaches because they have a really hard job, especially in an organization like this where they're not given a lot of help from the front office. To be fair, I think the front office has done some good things. Like you mentioned, the trade was good. It sucks that Hunter was hurt, and I'm not going to say that it elevates the value of the trade because that's putting not necessarily shade, but it's putting something on a guy getting hurt, and you just you can't ever predict that.
Oh no, I think we can. Do you remember do you know how we got Denzel Ward? Would you care to remember? His pick, the fourth pick in that draft. Do you know what that trade was a result of?
Go for it. I'm not remembering.
Deshaun Watson. The Houston traded up to get Deshaun Watson. We got their first round pick. They were off to a decent start in his rookie season, and he tore his ACL, a non-contact ACL injury, and that ended up being the fourth pick. So I'm
just never going to say that a deal was good because a player got hurt. Like, that's not why the deal was good. The deal was good because you got Mason Graham, who's been solid enough, and D tackles, unless they're just a beast of a human being, take a little bit of time to develop usually. And then you got Carson Schlesinger, who's been a very, very nice plug-in with their draft pick, and then drafting Quinshon. I mean, their first two rounds went well, and getting Quinshon and getting Graham out of the trade, like I'm not upset about it. I don't think the deal is heightened because he got hurt. Now, is it heightened because he got hurt that Jacksonville's probably going to be a little bit worse than they were on track for?
Yes, that's what. Yes, that's really.
But it's not better because he got hurt. Like I root for every player. I don't care what team except the Steelers, although even that's hard now because of Captain Jack and Will Howard. However, I don't root against players. That's just not what I do.
Okay, and that's fair. I will root against the team, and you're right. It's really that I wasn't not rooting for him to get injured, of course. I guess it's the result of that. A result of him.
It is the result that Jacksonville is going to be worse off because of it.
Possibly. I mean, it's crazy.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on in the NFL this year. I don't think there's no one dominant team. Really in either conference that is going to be good every single week. There are lots of fluky things going on, and it's going to be a heck of a season all the way till the end, quite frankly. What do you think about the play calling thing? You talked about Kevin Stefanski a little bit. He gave up play calling for the second year in a row to his OC, and did you like the play calling of Tommy Rees any better? It didn't yield much better results, I don't think, really, honestly. But what were your thoughts there?
That's a really tough conversation for me because I think the conversation throughout the Browns, really for the past however long, has been this team just does not have the bulk of talent offensively that you need to compete in today's National Football League. They don't have a true wide receiver one. Quinshon's been good, but I would still hearken to say they probably don't have a true RB one. And, trying to run this 2 tight end thing in the NFL, in today's NFL, just isn't going to work. I like it. I like Njoku. I like Fannin. I think they're both very good players. You can't run with just that, right? And for the offensive line conversation, which, boy, you don't want to get me started. I don't know how you have not at least fortified it from a depth perspective.
Sure.
With some competent draft picks.
Yeah.
Because they're always injured. And I understand the premise. Oh, it's a veteran offensive line. They've been here for a while, right? They stay healthy. Watch out. This, team can be a whole lot better. When has that ever gone well for us? We're the Cleveland Browns. Okay.
Well, now let me
it never goes well.
Is the offensive line, does it look worse? Well, I think it looks worse for a multitude of reasons, right? One is we have no passing game. nobody actually feels threatened that we can throw the ball downfield. And especially
Correct.
in those first few weeks when Joe Flacco was at the helm, the left tackles were the tackles were getting destroyed. And he was a statue back there, and the receivers weren't getting open. And so they load the box. Your wide receivers can't get open. They can go man if they want. They don't have to have anybody extra back to help. And so it makes it very difficult to get the run game going. Now you've got Gabriel back there. Again, still the wide receivers aren't able to create separation. He can't throw a deep ball. He throws a rainbow. I'm like, is that going to come down? Hello? I think it's still
Oh,
up.
it hit the scoreboard. Oh, all right.
Wow. Yeah, no, and so there's no threat there. Therefore, the offensive line is facing like much greater numbers from the defense. It makes it trickier. I think it's such a complicated mess because you can't address one issue without saying, well, we really can't fix this part of it because the other part is screwed up so bad. You're stuck in this terrible situation. And I think until we get to next year's draft, I don't know how much we're going to be able to address a lot of these things during the offseason. But I agree with your point. Yeah, you would have thought they would have done more. I don't know how much more they could have done in terms of free agency. I know that Andrew Berry is very good with manipulating the cap, but what else could they have done?
Well, to go back to your point about the play calling thing again, it really just is a tough conversation for me because of the fact that, I mean, this team is they're just not given much to begin with, right? Like this is not a team that has an influx of talent. This is not a Cincinnati Bengal offensive situation where, I mean, let's throw out the fact that Joe Burrow was hurt. I mean, the coaching is terrible. They got all the talent in the world, even with the veteran Joe Flacco at quarterback. I mean, you saw what Joe Flacco was able to do in 2023 with lesser pieces. I mean, he's got Jamar Chase, he's got T. Higgins. I even think that tight end is pretty darn underrated and solid for him. It is not a Bengals situation, right? This is a team that outside of probably David Njoku, Harold Fannin, and Quinshon Judkins has no offensive talent. Let's look at the rest of the wide receiver group. Jerry Jeudy, we've already established his problem. Our fourth leading receiver is Dylan Sampson, who I think can develop because he was a dynamite stick at Tennessee.
They needed development. They're not doing a good job.
But that's your problem, right? And a waiver wire pickup, Isaiah Bond, is your fifth leading receiver. Oh, he's only got 123 yards, by the way. And 30 targets, 11 catches for Bond. I mean, and numbers like that are sufficient across the board. It's, Sampson's getting the check down route, so his rate's going to look pretty good. But you go through this wide receiver room. The Bond just hasn't been, what we thought. But I also hearken that to the fact that, he couldn't really have camp because of his situation.
Legal situation. Yes. I mean, he was an undrafted free agent. I think he was a great pickup, quite frankly.
I do too. I think you give him a camp.
But you've got to get him involved. I know he didn't have camp, but are you serious? The dude is like running a 4.3 40 and you can't get him the freaking ball? Are you serious?
And it's due to the fact that, again, we have no quarterback that can throw deep, but like Cedric Tillman is not elite, or some may say he's not even good at anything. If you're a pessimist. Yeah. The Jamari Thrash. No, no. Gage Larvadane, Malachi Corley. Okay, come on. Are we being serious now? I
don't actually. I'll tell you what. I don't mind. I actually don't mind Malachi Corley. He was pretty highly drafted. It was another cast off, from the Jets that didn't work there. And we're like, hey, we'll give him a role. We'll take a flyer on this guy. He's good in the jet sweep or whatever, little play you want to call for him. He does a nice job with that. No, it's bad all around because again, you've got receivers that whenever they do get open, they drop the daggone ball. You can't send them out deep because the offensive line is having a hard time pass protecting. It's a snowball effect. Now, when we talk about all this, because we've talked about the draft, we talked about the play calling, we've talked, all these different little things here. And I know they were talking about this on Sports Talk Radio. We talked a little earlier. Brian Daboll gets fired this week from the Giants, and he's not the first coach to get fired this season with Brian Callahan in Tennessee. And I don't think that Daboll will be the last coach to get fired. It appears Stefanski's going to make it to the end of the year. And I guess my question
He's
is,
going to.
I know I'm pretty certain he is. I was pretty certain, based upon what Haslam said, that he was going to get this year, and he and Barry as well, and that they have an opportunity to get through this year and get back next year, and have another draft and come back, and that's really going to be the big one. Do you think that one or both of these guys will be back? If it's one of them, who do you think it would be? Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, if it's anyone, it's probably going to be Stefanski, and I think it has to be because, I mean, Stefanski has put up with incompetent management, a subpar talented roster, and you can go even lower than that if you want to. He has dealt with so much BS and just so much stuff. I have always said Stefanski is not the problem. Does he have his issues? Oh, yeah. He's got his issues. Kirby Smart has his issues at Georgia. Ryan Day has his issues at Ohio State. Okay, everyone is going to have their issues. Now, I'm not comparing Kevin Stefanski to those guys. That's just to give you an example, right? The best of the best are going to have their problems. It is not a Kevin Stefanski alone problem. It is this front office. It is this just incompetency to manage a football team. Paul DePodesta is obviously now with the Rockies, and his Moneyball approach just didn't work. Now, Barry's probably still going to learn from that and know how to circumvent this cap really well, but and we're seeing it with the Cleveland Cavaliers. To win in the league, you got to spend a little bit of money, and you got to spend money in the right places.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was kind of thinking that, actually, I was thinking opposite. I had this feeling that maybe Barry would be, would survive, but not Stefanski, because Stefanski, what I see out there is a team that lacks discipline, and that starts. That's right, and that starts on the practice field, and that starts on guys listening to the coach. I've got some issues with that. I don't think it's his play calling that is the problem. He was kind of the roster is put together by Andrew Barry, and so he's hamstrung. The move to get this whole thing, even going back, you mentioned Paul DePodesta. He had an interview. I think it was out in Colorado, and I think I just read a quote. I read a quote. I don't think there was any audio to it, but they asked him about the move to get Deshaun Watson, and essentially he wouldn't throw anybody under the bus. He made it sound as if it was an organizational decision. Everybody was in on it. It's just amazing that those guys will not throw each other under the bus. I know people get so pissed with Kevin Stefanski. They will not, because he won't go crazy at a press conference. But my thought is, do you really want a guy who's out of control at the press conferences?
Right. And my thing is, what do you want him to say? Yeah, he did it.
Right. I mean, this guy sucks. Get him out of here. You stink. I mean, this guy doesn't even deserve to be on the team. Bubba Ventrone is a big, giant piece of crap. He's fired. I mean, if you recall, they talked about it last year. They quietly, got rid of, Andy Dickerson for coaching the offensive line. By middle of the season, Mike Vrabel was coaching the offensive line.
Right.
It's just, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I want them to win. Last question here on the Browns. When do you think Sanders will likely see the field for the Browns?
Well, I mean, some of Gabriel's numbers on the surface don't look terrible.
Oh, he sucks. We don't need to go rehash him.
I know that. But I'm just saying the decision to stick with him A, is mind-boggling, but B, I mean, when you look at some of the surface level stuff, okay, the completion percentage is not great. The yards are what they are because of the roster. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Now, if that's the only thing that Stefanski and this, team is looking at, then we got, again, bigger problems.
Yeah, well, we all know it. We all know that they can't look at that. How many passes should have been intercepted?
Right.
The real question.
I can't fathom a reality where Sanders doesn't start at least one game this year.
Oh, right, for sure. But I think it needs to be more. And my question is, when will that be? Would you say that if Gabriel has a similar performance, or worse and the offense is ineffective, whatever it is, on Sunday against Baltimore, do you think they will pull the plug and start Sanders in Vegas? Or will they still say, we need more time? I don't know what more time you need. The guy's never going to be a starter in this league. You're struggling with this.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule, and I mean,
Mike thinks the Titans game.
That's what I'm kind of looking at. I mean, maybe you give him a shot the last week of November against San Fran. That team's been an injury mess as usual this year. So, at some point, there you go.
You know what? That is a great answer. I think you're going to be right. I think you're going to be right on that.
At some point.
At some point. I love it. All right. Let's get away from that clown show in Berea. And, well, let's let them know. Let's talk a little bit about the Cavaliers. First of all, did you see the City Edition uniforms? What do you think?
Woo! Oh, man, I got to tell you. Oh, but first they tease and tease and tease, and we all knew it was coming, and they finally break out the classic jerseys. Oh, get me every single jersey. I mean, I want everyone on the roster. Fill out my closet with that jersey, please. That is, I mean, if I may, pardon my French, that is the most sexy piece of attire in the NBA right now. Prove me wrong. Those jerseys, I think it's going to rub a couple people the wrong way, but I think the more I look at it, the more I kind of like them, the more I vibe with them. And, the NBA is getting more and more drastic with their jersey choices and their court choices. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves play in court or in-season tournament court. But I like it. I do. Yeah, I might be in the minority, but I like it.
Yeah, I hate the NBA Cup courts. It makes my eyes want to bleed. Although,
did you see the Timberwolves court, dude? It was like reflecting people on the court were glowing fluorescent.
And I will tell you this: it's actually more intense on TV than it is in person. The game on Friday night against the Wizards was an NBA Cup game. It is not near as bright of a red or whatever color that you see on TV as it is in reality, which is kind of interesting. And Mike, thank you for sending us the in the chat here, the college football rankings. We will get to that here.
Yeah, I watched it.
But the Cavs, they lose to Miami last night, and with 0.4 of a second left, just a ridiculous piece of work there on defense. Terrible way to lose that game. I guess my biggest issue or biggest concern, of course, is Darius Garland and his toe. I believe it's, again, the same one that he had surgically repaired after last season. And he's a huge piece. As much as people hate on the guy, it's evident how much better the offense looks and the team operates with him on the floor and in the rotation. What are your, I guess, takeaways from last night's game and just the early season so far?
Well, first off, I do want to say, I mean, does it suck that amazing Donovan Mitchell shot get wiped off because of the lob pass they threw? Oh, yeah, man, it sucked. I mean, hand was on head for a good couple of minutes sitting at my desk here watching the game. Just, oh, man, are you kidding me? What I will say, I think Donovan Mitchell stepped out of bounds on that play, but that's neither here or there because what happened on the last play was a defensive miscommunication, misassignment. I forget who it was on the baseline. I believe it was Jared Allen or
Allen wasn't out there.
no.
Apparently Merrill, they were talking about it, and I'm not watching the replay, but Hunter was late to get over. Merrill apparently was standing there and just kind of frozen, what they were saying, as he was staring. It was a great back pick. It was a great screen.
I mean, look,
Well-designed play. Well-designed play.
That's Spo for you, right? Like I saw that again. Head was in hands, just like, oh my goodness, what did I just watch? And immediately after I got over that sucked, I went, damn, that was a pretty nice play call.
Oh yeah, it was a well-designed play. I know that Kenny wasn't out there because he had said his piece and got chucked out of the game.
Oh, and I don't blame him.
And I don't blame him either. Scott Foster, how is that guy still an NBA ref? How? Can somebody please tell me how that guy still has a job? Every time he's the official, he's awful. He's awful.
So here is exactly what happened on the play. I'm rewatching it. In fact, actually, oh man, I don't know if I want to show this. I don't know if you'll get copyrighted or not.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, whatever.
Screw it, right? Who cares?
Okay. Well, as long as there's not audio with it, we should be all right.
I muted the audio, so we're good.
All right. So let's see if you can share the screen.
Let's break this down, shall we? You're getting a little film session here.
I love it, Nate.
So all right. So what's going to happen here is, I don't know if I can draw on screen. I probably can't. That would be awesome if I could do a little telestrator style. But what's going to happen?
Would you be the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello?
Oh, I would abuse the telestrator if I was a commentator. Okay, I would abuse that thing. I not even all right. So what's going to happen here is, I mean, they want to try to get the ball to Norman Powell. You would think, right? Because he's having a great night.
He was the decoy.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely the decoy. So I'm gonna see if I can't. Yeah, oh yeah. Here we go. We're getting real crazy now. All right. So what's going to happen here is Norman Powell's going to come up. Johnny Juzang is going to flash to the corner, pretty obviously, which is going to free up the lane, right? I mean, yes. Norman Powell's absolutely the decoy. You're going to get an elevator type screen here where, I mean, they're really just going to use the defenders as the screen, right?
Right.
So what's supposed to happen here, as Norman Powell comes through, Dean Wade does a perfect job at fighting through. Okay, perfect job at fighting through. I'm going to back up a little bit because I am not certain, or I'm going to go forward. So I believe that's Davion Mitchell. So Davion Mitchell gives him a little bit of a rub to try to slow him up, and then Andrew Wiggins is going to set the pick high. Right. So not necessarily more of an elevator type, but more of like a stagger rub and then screen. Okay. Is exactly what you get. I mean, Juzang is still in the process of flashing to the corner. Mobley's watching him. Great. Cool. We're all happy, fun, and dandy. You think here, because Wiggins sets that screen, which, look, man, I mean, Wade fought through. So you got to give a lot of credit to Dean Wade for fighting through and following through. You know, he doesn't fight through. You give the ball to Norman Powell, and who knows what happens. But that's not the way the play is designed. The play is immediately then designed because they're thinking about Norman Powell. They're thinking about Johnny Juzang in the corner, and they're thinking, okay, we're safe. This is the mistake here.
Sam Merrill making a huge...
This is the mistake. So Travis Hunter is trying to fight through this, which is just not going to work. Okay, Wiggins already has a head of steam, right? He's already got a head of steam to the rim, and Merrill flashes up.
Yeah,
now, go ahead.
Brain fart. He had a brain fart there.
Now, what I will say about Sam Merrill is his defense has gotten demonstrably better this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazingly better. This is a beautifully designed play call that if you coach basketball at any advanced level, I suggest putting this one in your playbook because it fooled the Cavs. And I know they haven't been the most disciplined team here, but the one thing that I will say I wish would have happened, because with 0.4 seconds, there is no shot that after Jovic, who's inbounding the ball, is like, oh, okay, we got him. You know, he's coming off that rub. He's got a head of steam. This is going to be great. You know, I wish Mobley would have been seeing ball, seeing man, right? A little bit better.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, I think Mobley, who, I mean, it was because Wembanyama went down, but the reigning defensive player of the year slides over. I mean, we're going to a double overtime, and maybe we're still talking about the Cavs losing, running out of gas, whatever it is, but you at very least give yourself a shot. So it was a mistake by Merrill to slide up, and I believe while Mobley did his job and followed using Johnny Juzang to the boundary and to the baseline, to the sideline, because if he doesn't, then that's an easy catch and shoot for what really is a pretty good shooter. And I forget what the name of the rule is, but 0.3 seconds, man, that's all you need to catch and shoot.
Catch and shoot. Yes, that's exactly right.
That's all you need. So Sam Merrill sliding up was a mistake. I think if Mobley, man, would have just been seeing ball, seeing man, seeing play develop, because he's in a good position to do so.
Right.
You follow your guy to the corner, right? That is the most obvious. They're not going to throw the ball to this guy ever. Johnny Juzang is out of the play. So why don't you get your 7-foot butt more towards the paint here, hedge it out a little bit, and it was a beautiful lob, beautiful finish from Wiggins. And then, of course, Miami goes crazy. The game ends. So it was a mistake by Merrill to slide up. I wish Mobley could have been in position. If Jarrett Allen is on the court at that point, I really don't know if that play does any different.
Wouldn't he have been guarding the inbounds?
He very well could have been guarding the inbounds. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to be on the floor because, I mean, he's Donovan Mitchell.
There's 0.4 of a second left.
Well, then why is Sam Merrill on the floor?
That's a great question. What was Johnny Bryant thinking? All right.
This is exactly why other Cavs assistant coaches, by the way, got head coaching jobs over that guy. So
yeah, that's all right. Well, we'll move on. It's no problem there. I mean, are we concerned about the team and its over-reliance on the three-point shot?
Yes. However, that is today's NBA. That's exactly the offense that the Boston Celtics run. So the Cavs are taking a little bit of page out of their book while still trying to mix in the Jarrett Allen, the Evan Mobley inside, right? I really don't have a problem with the way the Cavs run their offense. What I wouldn't even necessarily categorize this as a problem, but what I worry about with this team, and it's why I hesitate to really be like, let's see what this team is when X, and the X equals when they're healthy, which they've never been this year.
Yeah, I think that they need to be more aggressive, and that was something. I'm stealing information. I don't think that this is unoriginal thinking, but as Mike points out, 65 in a game is a bit much to be shooting. You wanted to talk about the free throw disparity. Well, if the other team is being more aggressive and getting to the basket and causing contact, now there were a lot of ticky-tack fouls that were away from the basket, and that's a problem. This team lacks discipline. I don't understand what they're doing out there. They're trying to be aggressive. You've got a young guy like Jalen Tyson who shows flashes, but he's got a ways to go. He has a ways to go. He makes some really silly fouls, but at the same time, that same aggressiveness, it can lead to a lot of other good things there. I'm a little concerned, though, that what we're going to be able to do going forward. I really need to see what's going to happen with DG for sure to see what they can do. We desperately need him on the floor.
He's playmaking.
He opens everything up and takes a little bit of the weight off of Spida Mitchell. And for those of you who are wondering, in the battle for the wagon wheel, the Zips take a 3-0 lead over my Kent State. My Kent State Golden Flashes here in quarter number 1 from InfoCision Stadium. So that being said, little Maction for us.
Well, again, I think the Cavs are going to end up being fine because yet again, the East looks like it's just going to be a dumpster fire, messy mishmash of a ton of teams jockeying for position. And, there have been some early disappointments, some early surprises. Teams are going to fluctuate up and down.
I know.
And we smashed them. We smashed them.
Yeah, we killed Detroit, and then all of a sudden they are all of a sudden they're in first place in the conference, and we're along with a bunch of other teams, a couple games back already, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned or upset about the fact that tomorrow night we are going to be running with a skeleton crew. We're going to have to watch lots of Luke Travers minutes. It's going to be Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and a bunch of guys. Well, you got Dean Wade and Sam Merrill, okay, and Lonzo Ball.
He's not been. He has. I
He's not
really have
bad.
not minded Lonzo Ball
No,
this
no,
year.
no. He's not bad, but he's not wonderful. He is a slight upgrade from Okoro in terms of size. Hasn't been great from shooting in terms of shooting percentage, but he is good at distributing the ball. I like his presence out there. We're going to see a lot of CPJ tomorrow, but again, we're going to have to watch Luke Travers minutes.
And Naquan Tomlin and
I
Thomas
like
Bryant.
Naquan. Please give me Naquan all day long.
I know.
I'll take him.
The minutes I'm actually most excited to see are Tyrese Proctor. I've been really excited to see him this year.
That was a steal.
So I want to address the 65 threes thing because, I mean, their percentage is not great. They made 20 of them. Yes, they shot 65. 26 offensive rebounds yesterday. So I don't mind the offensive rebound kick out to a shooter. I mean, Sam Merrill, coming into yesterday, led the NBA in true field goal percentage. How's that for you? He led the NBA in true field goal percentage. Donovan Mitchell was tops on that list. And, you're going to have days where the shots just don't fall.
But
okay.
Okay. All right.
That's all right. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. But 26 offensive rebounds, and you make 49 of 120 shots. I mean, first of all, free throws were also a big issue in that game, most notably from Evan Mobley. Oh, he was dreadful at the free throw line yesterday. So that, to me, was the bigger issue than this team shooting 65 threes. It's their offense, and they really are built for it. I mean, Mobley went 3 for 4. DeAndre Hunter knocked a couple of them down. Lonzo went 3 of 7. I mean, that's one of his better shooting performances. Dean Wade was shooting good at threes. It's just, some of those guys like Mitchell, he always has those nights where they just don't fall. Sam Merrill, you see it with Steph Curry, okay? There are nights where he only makes 1 or 2 threes and everybody doesn't get up in arms about it. Sam Merrill, that's what he's on the court to do. So I don't really mind the way that this offense is being run. I don't really mind the chucking up threes because I think it's a little bit, basketball's such an easy yet complicated game. I think it's a little bit more complicated than they're just chucking up threes. They want the 3 points. 3 points are better than 2. Okay. It's not an Alabama Crimson Tide style of play, right? Where Nate Oates has that team. No mid-range shots, only shoot threes. DeAndre Hunter will pull it from the mid-range. So will Donovan Mitchell. So will Mobley. So will Allen.
I think without having Garland on the floor, the number of guys who can drive the ball, penetrate, obviously that makes a big difference.
Right.
Yep. And we're going to need, I think that also Mitchell, do you think he's somewhat not been as aggressive to the basket this year in the early going, maybe possibly to try to save his body a little bit?
I think when you also look at the analytics of Donovan Mitchell, I mean, last year he had his worst season. If I recall this correctly, I think last year was his worst season finishing at the rim. It was just his worst year. So, I mean, guys can lose that touch. Do I think that's Donovan Mitchell's problem? No, I don't necessarily think that at all. But, I mean, yeah, remember what he did in the game against the Boston Celtics in the playoffs where he just drove it right to the rim. Or no, that was not during the playoffs. Sorry, that was during the regular season where he just, the offense was sluggish. Nothing was happening. It was like 3-4 halfway through the first quarter. And here comes Donovan Mitchell. Just, you know what? I'm going to put my head down and get this thing done. And dunks over Kristaps, I think it was. If not Kristaps, it was Al Horford. It was one of their bigs and lit the place on fire. I haven't seen that much out of Donovan Mitchell. But to your point about load management, I mean, it is a long season, right? Like 82 games. I don't. Now baseball is more ridiculous, so people are gonna say this argument doesn't matter because baseball X. I don't care. 82 games is a long season. Okay, even college football. We're gonna talk about the Buckeyes later, and they kind of coincide a little bit with the point I'm about to share here. Ethan, did you know that yesterday was the halfway point in the college football season?
It not, I mean, I guess in terms of what the calendar or
In
the
terms of the fact
date.
that we were 71 days away from opening day and 70 days until the national championship, or
I did
flip
not.
the two numbers, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
But I mean,
know that.
again, it is a long season, right? This team has played 11 games. Okay. They played 11 games and they're still sitting pretty, right? They're sitting in a really good spot in the East. Can the injuries lead to a pretty drastic fall off? We hope not. But I give this team some time to get healthy. I don't mind the load management. And yeah, it's going to lead to some very, very unexciting games from a advertising standpoint. I mean, you're going to have no Evan Mobley. You're going to have no Donovan Mitchell. You're going to have no Darius Garland. You haven't had Max Strus all year. So you're running with Jared Allen as your headliner. That's not going to sell a lot.
Yeah, I hear you. I was having a discussion with Mike earlier. We were texting and chatting about how you eliminate this. Maybe you cut about 6 games out of the schedule. You run all this stuff through a computer to set the schedule, right? Why not eliminate like maybe 6 games? You shave it down a little bit and you avoid some of the back to backs, and then you don't have this issue. I'll get into that in a little bit here in a moment here.
I'm wondering, I'm going to do some quick math. To your point, I'm wondering what would happen if a certain thing were to play out. So,
All right.
sorry, I am on my, so
And we're talking about the number, my number of possessions by the Buckeyes. So he's talking actually to your point about the college football season is like that they're slated to play like 2 less games than most other teams because
and that's exactly what I was going to say once we got
because day is kind of
to the
slow.
Buckeyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
I'd like to see them work
Mike,
on.
I'm going to table your point. Okay. I'm going to put a pin in it
All right,
because I want to come back to it when we talk about the number one team in the country officially again.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know. I got some issue here.
So on your scheduling point, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to interject this real fast. On your scheduling point, if you play every team in your conference, so the Cavs are in the East, you play every team in the East 3 times, and you play every team in the West twice, that's 72 games.
Right. And actually, and Mike was saying, again, this is part of our discussion. He said, look, if you play the Western Conference teams twice each, right?
30 games.
And then you play, what did he say here? Everybody else in your division or the other divisions in your conference, you play them 3 times, I think is what we came up with here. And then maybe 4 times against your own division. Gosh, I'm sorry. I can't.
That's the way that it is right now, I think.
Maybe it's something, but whatever the math was, you shave a few games off, just to get it down a little bit. Oh, I know what he said. And I think this was a 66 is what he was talking about. But maybe you add 2 against each of the other conference. That's 30. 2 against the other divisions in your conference. That's 20 games there. And then 4 times against each of the teams in your division. That makes 66. I said if you add a 3rd game in against the other division, other conference within your conference, the other division,
76.
that's 76, 30, 30, 16. And you could do it and you'd eliminate a bunch of doubleheaders or back-to-backs, I should say. And that would help with these guys resting all the time and save them a little bit more. That's also a part of the bigger problem of these guys playing for as long as they do at such a young age and for so frequent. All right. Cavs are the Cavs. They'll be back in action tomorrow night.
They just got to get healthy, man. I'm telling you, once this team gets healthy, I think we can have some real conversations because I think anything you talk about with the Cavs, I would caution people out there in doing that because, the team's going to have Garland out, hopefully not for that long. Mitchell's going to rest a couple of games. Max Strus isn't even back until the calendar flips over to December. So
right. Exactly.
You know, I would caution people being like, this team, blah, 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 this coaching staff, blah, blah. Like,
No,
let's wait and see what they're like when they put everything together, when they have a couple games as a unit, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not really that concerned about it.
I'm not either.
The injuries are my biggest concern, and are they?
Right.
And is this going to derail everything? And thank you for tuning in here again. Stop shooting so many threes and get back to the defense. We do need to play better defense, but I don't know if that has to do with the rotations and figuring that all out, trying to change some things up. They do have to get better, stronger defensively. They do get a little bit lackadaisical, and tend to let their foot off the gas. You know, I was going to get into the Guardians a little bit here, but I think we should, what else is there to say? Let's talk about them real quick and then talk about the Buckeyes here for a few minutes before
Oh,
we.
yeah.
Well,
yeah. Guardians, I mean, all right. Breaking news. Okay. Ortiz Clase indicted. In other words, the sun rose yesterday. Okay, this is not surprising. Okay, this is not surprising.
Go back. You've got a question here from Mike.
Oh,
wants to know, who would you start at the 3 when everybody?
Ooh, okay. I actually really like this question because I think you have a couple different options.
Right.
If I am looking at this roster from a put your best foot on the floor standpoint, you obviously know Allen and Mobley as the forwards, Garland and Mitchell there as well. I might be in the minority here. I'm starting Sam Merrill.
And bringing Strus and Hunter off.
I'm bringing Strus and Hunter off the bench. I'm starting Sam Merrill because of what he can provide from an offensive standpoint. And if his defense had not gotten drastically better, and again, let's not forget what I said, right? Number one in true shooting percentage. I saw the other comment there about stop shooting so many threes, right? To win in today's NBA, you have to hit threes, okay? And you have to shoot a fairly high percentage of them. 65 and 120 shots. Okay, we might be getting onto the little bit of the extreme side here. But I would start Sam Merrill. What he can provide from an offensive standpoint, he is a guy that, as Darius Garland opens everything up, Sam Merrill forces a defense to space the floor. And if Sam Merrill is going to stand out there on the wing, that's going to give Jared Allen, that's going to give Evan Mobley a one-on-one in the paint. It's going to give Donovan Mitchell a lane to drive. It's going to give Darius Garland some room to work from the ISO offense. I think Sam Merrill does a lot more than people realize for this team, and his defense has gotten a lot better. I mean, he is, don't take this out of context. I know people clip things nowadays, but he is riding defenders to the rim. He didn't do that last year. He got blown by every single time.
Absolutely. Well, I like that. I mean, we'll see. I would probably go with Strus. Because he's a little bit better defensively. He's not necessarily as good of a shooter as Merrill, but I hear you. All right, moving on to the Guardians. We got the indictments of Clase and Ortiz.
The sun woke up yesterday.
Yeah.
The sun rose.
I know that Clase's attorney says that the call that was intercepted, he was talking about cockfighting, apparently. Anyway, I guess the one question I have is this. This started back in 2023. Are you at all worried or concerned, or did it go through your head and did you start wondering, was there any funny business during the playoffs when all of a sudden Clase, who was unhittable, starts getting hit?
So, I mean, I think you can think that. I think and it gets really confusing, right? Because you have to remember what Clase did after those bad performances, right? And I forget what media outlet this was. I thought they broke it down. Actually, it was the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. They broke this thing down very well.
Okay, I think it was great.
I think it was Jay Crawford that had said it. Like, you go back and you look at Clase's Instagram story and all of his social media after those bad performances, he's posting pictures of his trophies and his awards and his accolades. It was almost as if he was telling himself, like, I am better than this. Look at what I have won. Look at what's on the shelf. I am so much better than what I have put out there. So I don't know. I think it's, with stuff like this, I think it's really hard to make an assumption when we don't really know much about that. All we kind of really know is that he's just, he was in this funk. He got into this influx of money. They said, hey, well, how would you like an extra couple $1,000s? And he went, yeah, okay, sounds pretty good to me. And he took it and ran with it. I know the games that are proven to have the funny business going on happen this year. If it extends back to 2023,
That's
that's
what they're saying, like a game
right.
against the Mets. And he was trying to do things with, like, what was it? On 8 different occasions, he had told them, I'm going to throw a ball. And on one, a guy for the Dodgers swung and missed or something, ridiculous thing. And apparently someone sent a GIF of somebody hanging themselves or something.
Yeah, hanging themselves with toilet paper, and then Clase replied with crying emojis.
Right. I mean, it's not good, and I hope they solve for this. Certainly, it sucks for baseball. We're all sports fans to wonder if their team,
Right.
some kind of shenanigans are going on. And Clase had done so much, and now really I'd like to wipe him out of the record books. Oh, wow, look at this. Breaking news. Stephen Vogt, AL Manager of the Year.
I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think he would win it.
I thought it'd be Seattle's.
I thought it was going to be John Schneider.
Oh, for Toronto.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be John Schneider.
But that's
first of all, 3 phenomenal candidates for that award.
Oh, definitely. Wow.
Thank you, Mike.
And also, sorry, scoreboard alert here. Kent State, after a muff punt by the Zips, the Golden Flashes cash it in and lead it 7-3 in the battle for the wagon wheel.
Okay. But they won it back, huh?
Yeah, they do want it back. So now we've got 2-time Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, 2-time Manager of the Year, Stephen Vogt.
Woo! And I heard that they're working on a contract extension for him as well. Excuse me. So we'll see how that works.
Can we find a hitting coach?
Not the podcast. Not today's podcast.
That's a whole different episode.
Not today's podcast. Here's the one thing that I do want to say. We can talk about Stephen Vogt in a minute. Here's the one thing I want to say about the whole thing, right? With Clase and Ortiz. And then if you have any other thoughts, I'm going to be done after this. People, myself included, are going to be out there and say, and I will never understand the need for an extra couple of thousand when you make millions. But here is the problem. You do not have, and this is also the problem with giving. That's also impressive. Again, talk about it later. This is the problem with giving young adults a slew of money, even in college, right? Especially college. And it's why the NIL needs a cap and so on and so forth. You can get into so many different reasons on why. Millionaires get in debt too, okay? Like they are just like you and I. So, you don't know what situation someone is in. It could have been, Clase was struck. And to be fair to the millionaires, right? It's their own fault. They buy these big houses, they buy these flashy cars, but not everyone has a couple little angels over their shoulder and a mom here and an aunt there and an uncle over yonder that's saying, put this much into a 401k, put this much into savings. You got to put this much towards your mortgage. Like, no, not everybody has that, especially, you hear these stories all the time of these young athletes, especially in baseball, the international guys that are coming from nothing. Nobody in their family knows how to handle money. All they know is that money is going to change a lot of things for them. And then they buy this, they buy that. And then you see stories all the time of guys like, you know what, I'm going to hang it up. This is a great career. And in 3 or 4 years, they don't have what they used to have.
No, definitely not. I would love to know, and we don't know the backstory. I know there's discussion about it, whatever. Was anything going on like with family in what is it? Are they both Dominican?
They're both Dominican, yes.
Was there anything going on that started this situation, caused the situation? I have no idea. It's bad. It's just bad.
It's bad all around. And I mean, I did not say that to try to vindicate Clase and
No,
Ortiz,
no,
okay? They are guilty as hell.
they certainly are, and it sucks. It's like I thought it was all on Ortiz, but apparently not.
Nope.
Apparently
They are guilty as hell. And, I want to ask you a question, actually, before we move on to the Buckeyes, because I'm still in your job, okay? It's my show now.
All right.
It might as well be with how much I'm talking. But,
it's all good. I'm a motor mouth. We got it.
Yeah, you and I both. What do you think this does for gambling in sports? Because
that's a great question.
Because there's going to be the camp of the people. See, this is why it's bad. Like, gambling should have never been legal. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think it's that it shouldn't be legal. I think that there needs to be better regulations. I think they are going to crack down on and if I think I already saw, there's going to be some intervention about at least the prop bets.
So the prop bet thing that has already happened is they are limiting the pitch bets to 200, and you can no longer parlay them.
Right. So it's going to make it harder to make that a big money thing. It's not going to be worth it to anybody. You can't bet enough to make it worthwhile. It's crazy. I do think they've got people who know what's going on, but I want to know why did this take so long? Why?
I mean, you can ask that with anything. You can ask that with the Michigan investigation. You can ask that with Reggie Bush Heisman. You can ask that about, the gambling ring in the NBA, so on and so forth. But let me pose this to you.
Go ahead.
What if I told you, and there is a really easy way to justify gambling being legal?
Okay.
It's trackable.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. With sports books and stuff, it's all trackable. It absolutely is. Obviously, these things were not. They were. It was people. He was saying this is what it is. You're going to bet through this sports book. I agree. No, it's better than having just some bookie, a shark. Someone you're calling up and all that kind of nonsense. But at the same time, there do need to be some limitations and some more guidance. It's like it became the wild, wild west out there. And it may have gone too far in one direction. They got to bring it back to the middle a little bit, but it's all good. Oh, this is good information just here. Vote 17 of the first place votes runner-up John Schneider with 10. Wow. So good question, Nate. I think that is I don't have a problem with the sports gambling, and I think it's good that you can track all of this. It's tough. I hate that people start to have a question about the integrity of the game, and the winning and the losing and so on and so forth. You wonder, are these officials in on it? Are these umpires in on it? What's going on? And I'm hopeful that that's not the case. I have to kind of keep, if I start to buy into that, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the games.
Which is where I think it's losing people, right? Gambling is ruining sports. This and that and the other is ruining. No, you are ruining your own viewing experience. It's you.
Oh,
I don't worry about, oh man, Gavin Williams is taking the mound today. I wonder if he bet the over or his under on the strikeout count. He only had 6. He bet the under. Look, you are ruining your viewing experience. Just watch the game, man. Watch the game and enjoy it. And I was sitting next to people at a Guardians game this year that were prop betting pitches. Like the entire game.
Right. The ability to
I don't know how you can do that.
No, well, the ability to go to a game and watch the game is lost on a lot of people. They are so busy on their phone. I mean, and I'm not guilty of this because I will hop on if I've posted something or I'm like, hey, this would be something, take a picture or a thought or whatever. But I do see a lot of things. Heck, my 80-year-old dad is sitting there looking at something on the news. I'm like, are you here to watch the game? Or I don't know. I don't know.
The only thing that I will ever have on my phone during a sporting event is another sporting event.
I do like that. I do want to track it.
So I was at the Ohio State women's game on Sunday, and I was watching the Browns during it. So
I love that. I do love that. That is the way to go. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to a happy team that we can.
Woo!
Yes, let's talk about your Ohio State Buckeyes. Real quick here, the defending national champs remain number one in the college football playoff
Yep.
standings. Nate, do you have that in front of you? I've got it in front of me. So
I do have it in front of me, actually. We are prepared.
Yeah, Ohio State remains one. Indiana State, they stay at two. Let's see, we got Texas A&M remaining at three. Alabama, did they remain at four or did they go up?
The top 5 are unchanged.
Okay. All right, what are the changes here, Nate?
So the biggest change that I see, that there are 2 that really caught my eye when I was watching this thing. The first is Texas Tech has vaulted over both Oregon and they were already above Oregon, but they have vaulted Ole Miss, and now Texas Tech is at 6. That is huge, folks. That is huge. You want to know why it's huge? Because Texas Tech, after that BYU game, has an open road in front of them. They play UCF. They go on the road to play West Virginia, and they're the most talented team in that conference by far. Doesn't matter who they play in the Big 12 championship. I think it's going to be BYU or Cincinnati, and those two have to play a game in a couple of weeks, which I'm stoked to watch how that one works out, especially for the fans about 2 hours south of me. But then Texas is vaulted into the top 10. Miami is now the highest ranked team in the ACC because Atlantic Coast Conference chaos happened again. Right behind them is Georgia Tech at 16. The Yellow Jackets still control their own destiny to get to the championship game. Miami does not. So Miami still needs some help, even though they are the highest ranked team there. And then speaking of Cincinnati, they did rank them. And then USF is rated as well. The other thing to of note, Iowa did lose to Oregon, but on a game-winning field goal at home, they only dropped 1 spot. They remain ranked. So that USC versus Iowa game, whoever wins that one, it's going to be a monster resume-boosting game. And it's going to feel like an elimination game for USC.
Yeah, USC has no room for error. They have no margin for error at this juncture. I mean, the teams are going to beat up on each other on the schedule, as you mentioned. You look at, again, Ohio State and Indiana will not, if they collide, it will be in the Big Ten championship, and both teams will be in the playoff regardless of the result. It'll be a matter of where they end up in the seeding. I do believe, am I correct here? Texas A&M, they've got a game against. Did you say they have a game against Georgia?
It's Texas who's got Georgia this week. So Texas goes on the road to play. So here are the eye-popping games you got to watch for in the SEC down the stretch here, right? Texas is going to go on the road to play Georgia, and then Texas A&M has to go on the road and play Texas,
on the last,
which may very well be an undefeated A&M team that hasn't secured their spot in the SEC championship game yet. That's a possibility.
That's very interesting. What do you think about Texas kind of making their way back after the first couple of weeks of the season, or first few weeks of the season, when they look rough? It looked rough. They lose to the Buckeyes. Manning.
Yeah, I mean, so Texas is one of those teams that, so again, I run a college football YouTube channel, so this is my thing. I'm going to nerd out for however longer the show goes on for. Texas, we all know, I think when you look at hindsight, Texas had some pretty unfair expectations, not defensively. I think their defensive expectations were very fair. They were supposed to have one of the better defenses in the country. In a lot of ways, they still do. It's still one of the most talented units, but the unhealthy or the bad expectations came for Arch Manning. I mean, this guy had started 1 college game. His arm slot was the worst thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. It is horrendous, but he's starting to find his rhythm. And I still don't think he's playing his best ball. And Texas, I mean, look, man, you're going to go on the road to play a Georgia team that is absolutely deserving of that top 5 ranking. But, Georgia just kind of is what they are this year, right? That Georgia's still going to be a physical team. They're going to run the ball pretty well. Gunnar Stockton has been a pretty solid piece at quarterback. There's nothing flashy about this Georgia team. There's nothing that's going to stand out to you. Yes, they're very talented. They're going to pose a lot of challenges, but man, you saw what happened when Texas played Vandy. No matter the score, that game was a runaway. Texas plays like that, and I know people are going to say, "Oh, it's Vandy." That Vandy team is good, man. Getting a road win against Georgia here, even if they lose that game to A&M, you still might be talking about a Texas team in the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because, again, like I think that obviously the margin for error is a little bit less for Texas. If they win this week at Georgia, that opens up so much for them, and we'll see. But that's going to be a very difficult game. I got to tell you something, and this is just maybe it's a superstitious type thing. I kind of don't want to see Texas make it into the playoff. I feel like they're improving. I don't want.
And go ahead.
I don't want that. That's where I would prefer.
I'm just getting giddy and excited because I hoped you would bring this up, because guess who they reminded me a lot of from last year?
The Buckeyes.
The very team that we call our own. I'm telling y'all, like Texas has posed a lot of inconsistencies more consistently than what you saw out of Ohio State last year. Let's be real here, right? Texas has been inconsistently inconsistent.
Yeah.
Ohio State last year, for the most part, was a pretty consistent bunch. They ran into a good Oregon team in a tough environment on the road, and then their game plan was the worst, most awful thing I've ever seen in that final game of the year. Okay, throw it out the window. This is a Texas team that is still in play to get to the SEC championship game. Even if they pick up another loss, it's going to be to a top 5 team in the country. And the committee, you're seeing already this year, they are rewarding your strength of record. They are rewarding your strength of schedule. It's exactly why Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country, because they have that non-conference win over a power opponent that is looked upon pretty favorably, and Indiana doesn't.
Yeah, and let's just go real quick here. Indiana, they win over Penn State. That wasn't convincing to me. I don't care if they made that comeback at the end. They blew that. They almost blew that game. And that was an amazing reception by Cooper in the end.
Mark Cooper turned Gus Johnson into Mario. That is hard to do.
It is. I mean, it's like, we're not talking about, hurt my feelings, the barbecue, that sort of comment there. Maserati Marv. No, that was an amazing catch. It was not the best. Maybe not
a catch of the year.
It could very well be. I'm going to need Jeremiah Smith to step his game up. Okay. We're going to need to do that here. Are you at all concerned about, we've still got a couple games to go before the big one we've got UCLA at home on Saturday night. You get to see Nico Iamaleava again.
Yeah, you know what? Let's dive more into the Buckeyes here in just a little bit, but let's focus on Indiana for right now. For the Indiana Hoosiers, something still feels a little gimmicky to me. There's just still something
fugazi.
Yeah, there's just still something where, like, they're poking and prodding at their lasagna and just picking it apart, right? They're not really. Some may say, wow, look at those scores, man. They're devouring that, their meals. I think they're just kind of toying and playing with people. I think Kurt Signetti is kind of being a little bit of an ass right now.
A little bit.
Yeah. You know what? I got to be a little nice here, okay? His team's number 2 in the country.
I don't care. He was talking the big talk last year. They went into Columbus and they got it handed to him. They got it handed to them.
Well, what I will say is they went on the road and beat Oregon, so they have that win this year. Even though, again,
Oregon, how good is Oregon actually?
Oh, I mean, we're about to find out. People now are going to question, but this is the college football fan cycle, okay? And this is what can either drive you insane or it's what you can live for. Okay, well, Indiana beat Oregon on the road. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good win. Well, but how good is Oregon? Well, they went on the road and, only won by 2 against Iowa. Well, Iowa's not that good. The committee seems to think Iowa's pretty good. Now they're going to get a home game against what I think is a good Minnesota team. Oh, Minnesota's trash. Minnesota's terrible. And then, they're going to play a home game against USC here in a couple of weeks. Oh, USC's trash. USC's terrible. They're going to go on the road and play, oh, Washington's trash. Washington's terrible.
Well, let me throw this out. Before we're going to get to the talk real quick or get into Ohio State's final game of the season. I know, as we said, they've got a couple more before then. They've got to take care of business, which I am certain or hopeful they will. But I start looking at this CFP, and I know that last year, all the teams that had a bye in the first round were the top 4. They lost in the next round. They got it was no good. But I still think there's teams that are part of the CFP standings that are more, I guess, legitimate than the other. So I really think if you're looking at it, I would say Ohio State. I've seen a lot of good things out of Texas A&M. Bama has been playing well. They've been improving. They've been doing very nicely under DeBoer. Georgia, they're inconsistent. Like you said, physical inconsistent.
Yeah, again, they just kind of that's kind
Right.
of what they are.
I'm not buying Texas Tech. I'm not buying Ole Miss. I'm not buying Oregon. Notre Dame will be well coached, but they are not as talented as some of the other teams. They are going to be tough, but not as talented. Oklahoma, forget about it. BYU, that's a joke. And that's your top 12 there. And Texas, again, I think they're starting to hit their stride. Somebody's going to get knocked off here by virtue of their schedule. I think, what did we figure out? Is Ole Miss in the clear, kind of, sort of?
Pretty much. I mean, they got a bye this week, and then they play
Florida and Mississippi State. They're good, and they might
Ole Miss is fine
from not making it into the SEC championship. I don't know what. Let's see. Are they in position? I don't know the tiebreakers.
They are technically, but Georgia has the tiebreaker over them.
Okay, so they're going to need a Georgia loss,
and it doesn't matter if Georgia loses to Georgia Tech because that's obviously a non-conference game.
Right, exactly. So I think they're sitting pretty. Lane Kiffin is sitting pretty right there.
Lane Kiffin feels great. The only thing that Lane Kiffin has got to be concerned about is the other teams behind them jumping them because, I mean, you know, like, what if USC beats Iowa? Okay, what if USC beats Oregon? That win for Notre Dame is just going to get better and better. And Oregon, at the end of the day, if they win out, the committee obviously respects the hell out of the Iowa Hawkeyes. They obviously respect the hell out of USC.
Why do they respect Iowa and there's zero offense?
I mean, that's a phenomenal question. I think you have to look at their losses this year. I mean, rivalry game on the road, and I know Iowa State's kind of been what they've been this year, but you go on the road and lose a game-winning field goal there. You lose on a final second drive to Indiana, and you lose on a last-second field goal to Oregon. I mean, you're looking at those three losses right there, by a combined quick math 2, 7, 10 points, 3 losses by a combined 10 points to 3 pretty darn good football teams, 2 of which are in the top 10 here. And Matt Campbell's one of the better coaches in the country at Iowa State. Changed my mind. And I think it's just the way that Iowa plays football, right? Like, we know this offense is not flashy. The offense is always going to be what it has been. And Mark Gronowski has not panned out the way that he performed at South Dakota State. Okay, fine, whatever. Defense has been flawless. Defense has been great. I think the committee with them and a couple of other teams is still showing the "what have you done for me lately" kind of bias, which is where Iowa's, been a model of some sort of consistency over the past few seasons.
Yeah, and here, Mike, Miami's a team I personally can't take. Oh, absolutely not. They're a joke. They are fugazi.
It is the only smart thing that I have ever heard Paul Feinbaum say. It's Miami in November. More specifically, it's Mario Cristobal in November.
Yeah, what is with that guy getting so much credit for being this genius? And are you serious? Are we seriously talking about Mario Cristobal? Get out of here. Get the heck out of here with that nonsense. No, this is going to be a race to the finish. I am looking forward to all of that. I can't wait to see, like you said, this weekend, another good matchup. Going on, as you said, the game between Georgia and what did we say here? Georgia and Texas.
Georgia, Texas. Before we talk about the Buckeyes, here's another sneaky one that I will throw out at you.
All right.
Notre Dame at Pitt.
They have those always turn into really tough games.
They always do. And I mean, this Notre Dame team is really starting to turn it on. So I think what you could see happen there is Notre Dame start to show their might a little bit because CJ Carr has played well all year. They got the best tailback duo in the country, and it's led by Jeremiah Love. Their wide receiver core does not get enough credit at all, and that defense is actually starting to become physical. If you remember, that defensive front got bullied around by Miami, by Texas A&M, Now it's coming into their own, and they're going against a Pitt team that's still alive in the ACC race. And this win wouldn't do anything for them in conference, but it would severely boost the way that team and probably that conference is looked at by the committee.
It may very well. I think the ACC is trash. If we're going to be quite honest, they really are second-class citizens, especially this year. That's just I don't know. That's how I see it from this vantage point. I'm glad that Clemson is losing because Dabo is just as annoying as as a guy like Signetti and Lanning in Oregon. Dabo might be even slightly more annoying than them. So I'm definitely glad to see them lose.
We've rambled long enough. Let's talk about the Scarlet and Gray.
Let us do that. Well, also score update. The Zips just went on a 8-play, 90-yard, 4-minute, 11-second drive with a touchdown to retake the lead 10-7 with 7:51 to go in the second quarter from Akron's Infocision Stadium. A lead over the Golden Flashes.
And for you basketball fans, the Buckeyes are going to be rolling here. It was a really tight first half there where the Buckeyes just could not shoot. Still not going to be that great of a field goal percentage, but the defense looks a lot better today. They're going to walk out with a dominating win right now, 75-51 with 7 seconds left over App State. First power opponent coming up on Sunday against Notre Dame.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. We have got to see more.
I'm going.
Nice. All right. I love it. I want to see more out of the Buckeyes. I want them to return to their glory days and actually challenge and give us something interesting to watch in March. So the Scarlet and Gray on the football field have just kind of been pretty darn dominant.
Yeah. Now, speaking of fun to watch, Ethan, are you having fun?
Oh, yeah. It's not, it's not stressful.
And this is the thing that I keep telling, and I call them the casuals because it's what you are, okay? If you don't think we're having fun, you're a casual. I'm sorry. We're having a blast over here, okay? But guys, I mean, your heart's not beating out of your chest every weekend. You are gripping your pillow and throwing something in your apartment or house how do you live? We live pretty comfortably with our mimosa in hand and sipping on it like, I mean, whatever beverage you prefer. This is great. I'm having a lot of fun.
I am. I am. I am feeling pretty good about the team. There are times we've talked a little bit. I worry about saying sometimes his deep ball isn't as good as I'd like to see it. Kind of underthrows guys a little bit, but he's continued to improve. This is his first year starting.
And this is the difference, too, between analysis and criticism. I put out YouTube videos, and I've said the same thing that you have. I've noticed the same thing, and I keep getting comments, how dare you criticize the Golden Boy, Julian saying. First of all, it's analysis. Second of all, he gets not a shot in criticism from me because the kid has got let me do some fact checking in my head here. The highest completion percentage in a season has been right around 77.5%. That's the NCAA record at this level. Well, okay, you think it where Julian's I'm off the top 80 freaking percent. The kid gets no criticism from me. He's got 24 touchdowns with only about 4 or 5 picks. His deep ball, besides the occasional issue, has gotten so much better than it was at the beginning of the year. And now you are seeing him really envelop in this. I mean, what is so underrated about Julian Saint's game, and it's because he's not a runner. The way he manipulates the pocket, chef's kiss. I tell you, man, he gets that deep ball to be accurate, on point pretty much every time, just like the one to Jeremiah Smith a couple weeks ago, served on a silver platter. He's the Golden Boy.
He's definitely, he does a lot of things right. What I'm going to want to see, and this will be kind of interesting. We're going to talk about the game that's going to be up in Ann Arbor. Is Ryan Day not going to outcoach himself? We have a high-powered offense. Let's make it work. Clearly, our offensive line is not our strong suit. We haven't even really been able to get our run game going. Bo Jackson is amazing, but this offensive line is not as good as it has been. Yeah, exactly. Not as good as it has been in the past. We need to not try and get into a pissing match and see who can be physical. We need to go and win the game. Michigan has no offense. Their running back's done. Their quarterback, he's got physical traits, and athleticism, but I don't see him having a lot of weapons, and it hasn't translated out there. Go and take it to them. Take the game.
The one thing I will interject and say about Michigan is I would be very careful with saying that Justice Haynes is out. It's not it's tightrope surgery. So it's not some major, he's putting on a new foot. And we had this happen with Blake Corum a couple years ago.
Okay.
Where, he had surgery. He came back and played. Did he look good? No. No, he did not. And that's why Donovan Edwards had to take over.
Right. I thought I saw that he was out. So that's where that
I have seen nothing to and I'm not saying that you're wrong in thinking that. I mean, it's foot surgery. You're a running back. You need to be able to plant and go. And again, it was the same sort of issue with Corum, right? It was something in his leg. And what was Corum's most dynamic ability when he was in college? Right. It was that cutback move. So we could very well see the same thing with Justice Haynes, and he will give the Buckeyes fits if he plays. Even if he's at 80%, he's going to give this defense hell because he's a really freaking good player, and they stole him from Bama. That was a terrific find by that program. I'm going to say the jury needs to be off on Bryce Underwood for now, because while he hasn't looked great, he's got no weapons. He's got nothing to work with.
No, he doesn't. I didn't like his accuracy. He didn't look good against Oklahoma. It's not been great there, but they haven't had a particularly great offense. They've had a magnificent, the lines, they win in the trenches. They did enough to win. I mean, they did enough to, get JJ McCarthy drafted in the first round. And, you look at him now and you're like, what the hell did they draft? Kind of a thing. So we'll see what happens. I want to see Ryan Day not outcoach himself in that game and not let the emotions get to them. They need to go in and do what they do and do it well. Take care of business. We have the weapons. We've just got it. It seems like simple math to me. It just seems like simple math to me.
Right.
But we shall see what happens. And then also, I guess where I was going with that is when we talk about Julian saying, how's he going to hold up in a tight game, which he hasn't really had to face too much. They kept things pretty simple against Texas for the opening game and his first start. We'll have to see. I mean, this is obviously going to be a huge matchup. And also, this is going to be a fun one, too, because you've got two former NFL defensive coordinators matching up against one another in Wink Martindale and Matt Patricia.
Inject it into my veins now. In fact, what you need to inject into my veins, I'll throw this little tidbit out there before I get to my next and maybe final point.
Okay.
I would love to see a 2-year period where we put the Ohio State-Michigan series in night game environments and just see what happens. 2 years. I want one in the shoe, one in the big house. That's all I'm asking for. I don't need it to happen soon, as long as it's in I understand it's tradition. Okay, whatever. Can't break tradition. The untraditionalists are ruining everything. Whatever. Okay. I just want it one time. One time, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the game is so big. It doesn't need to be. What you could play that thing at 1 o'clock or at 11 a.m. on a Monday, and eyes would be glued to the TV.
I just want it for I'm not denouncing the environment of the game. Okay, I've never been. I want to go. And I'm not denouncing the environment. You're absolutely right. You could play the game at 3 a.m. on a Thursday morning, and people are going to flood the stands, okay?
Yeah, it's just what it is. It is what it is.
I just want it for the environment, man. There's something different about college football at night.
No,
and I want it with the fireworks and the light show and the strobe lights, and that would just be so cool.
It would be. It would be awesome. So that will be Fantastic. All right, Nate. Now I know you went a little nuclear earlier, but I want to just get, do you have a final thing that's got you particularly going nuclear this week to tell all the listeners?
Well, you know what? It was on the Browns, but I'm going to sort of change it to talk about the Buckeyes and the way that's, there are some people out there constructing the way that the schedule is being built, the way that the team is playing. First of all, I'm going to go tad bit nuclear here, but not really. I mean, the game against Purdue was the worst game that they have played this year. It prove me wrong, right? That was the worst game as a collective unit they have played this year. Here is what their worst team performance looked like. They outgained Purdue by almost 300 yards. They went 9 of 13 on third down. Sand had over 80% completion percentage. We averaged over 6 yards per play. We held the ball for nearly 41 minutes of the game. If that is this team's worst performance, it's exactly why I get excited about playing that team up north at the end of the year. This team, and I have gotten flack for it, and this is where I'm going to go nuclear because I have gotten flack for this, and I don't care how many times I have to say it. This team has not gotten out of third gear, y'all. This is a team, you still got fourth, you got fifth, you got sixth, and this is not your regular sports car. Okay, this is a car that can hit the seventh gear. Okay, we can get the eighth gear. We got the NOS tanks on the back of the Lambo. All right, we have not even touched the potential of this offense. So anybody out there that may be hinting a reference, this is all that they got to show. Trust me, I've seen it. You wouldn't believe it, but I've seen it. This is all they got to show. Their run game is trash. They're not as talented on the offensive line. XXX. It is worrisome in this way, and we'll calm myself down for a little bit. It is worrisome in this way. The offense is opening up more, which is really good to see. But the thing that comes when you try to pull out all the stops is that you are more susceptible to mistakes, which is still why I look at that Michigan game in Ann Arbor and think, I don't know. And that should be the nature of Ohio State, Michigan. You should be thinking, I don't know about this one, Jim. I don't know, Jim. This is going to be a pretty tough one. I don't know, Jim. This is going to be a pretty tough one, Jim. But to say that this team, has played a crappy schedule, not their fault that Texas is not the preseason number one team they all thought they were. And let's not discount Illinois, okay? Their 3 losses are to a very good Ohio State team. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, they're still a little gimmicky. A very good Indiana team. And then they're on the road against Washington. That's the first time they've ever gone to Seattle. And that's a tough environment to play in. Even Washington, that's a really good team. Guess what? Both of those wins are on the road. I know people are going to say what they say about Penn State and how much of a travesty that they've been, and they are not running at full strength because Drew Aller is not that quarterback. Y'all, that Indiana game was not a fluke. My hot take is right now with Penn State, they are going to smoke the brakes off of Michigan State this week. I think they're going to smoke Nebraska at home. And I think Penn State's going to end up beating Rutgers handedly that final week. I think Penn State's going to get to a bowl game. They're going to find a way to get there. And it's not a mistake. It's not Indiana showing that they're a flawed. It's not X showing X, right? Like this is a team that has played a tough schedule. It is a team that has played some really good opponents and have made them look like 6U Pee-wee squads, mind you. So I am going nuclear about anybody out there and anybody in the media because there are still the people that does this. Thank God we got Mark May out of there, all right? Now we got to focus on some of the others, right? This team has not touched anything fancy inside that car, and they're still doing this to everybody. This is a team that I don't think they're as talented as last year based off everything that they lost, but they are a better overall team, period. End of story. They are playing as a more collective unit. They have a quarterback that I think is more favorable for the system that Ohio State would rather run. Offensively, I think this team is built top to bottom like the best contender in college football. And sure, when they run into the playoff, maybe they fall to Bama. Maybe they fall to Texas A&M. Maybe, Notre Dame turns it into high gear and they fall to, okay, whoever, right? This is the best team in the country, hands down. Indiana is not close. Alabama is not close. Texas A&M is not close. And it is the fact that they still have not allowed 16 points. They still have not allowed over 17 points this year, 17 or above. They are not turning on the NOS boosters, not even remotely, and they're still doing this. Buckeye fans, be very thankful for the way that you have this right now. This is a special, special, special group of players that I don't know that you're going to see for quite some time. And it's the talent, it's the way that everything is put together, and it's also the way that Ryan Day is coaching this team. Back to the point of where, look, you're building in 2 bye weeks based on snap count. And yes, they held the ball for 40 minutes, so that's not going to help that ratio. But regardless, they are building in those bye weeks here. Ohio State is putting on an absolute clinic from an on-the-field perspective in a beat your opponent sense and from a how do you play the chess game that is football sense. They did it last year in showing how demonstrably important it is to plan for a season that is now taking up almost half of the calendar year. And they're doing it again this year even better than they did last season. I have said my piece.
I agree with this. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good question. The bye weeks aren't always a good thing, in my opinion. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in on Twitch there. Got some people on Twitch. Thank you for tuning in to us there. Let me just say this. This is what has me going nuclear. Kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. What has me going nuclear this week is the capital BS with load management in the NBA. This is crap. How about we stop playing guys when they're 5 years old and being on travel teams? How about we go back to the days when you played on your high school freaking team, you made it to college, you played some D1 ball, and then you went on to the NBA, and you could play X number of years, and you didn't have to skip nights off. The guys are playing and taking time off all over the place. The schedule makers, fix the schedule. Enough of the back-to-back crap. If you got to cut 6 games off the schedule like we were talking about, do that. I'm sick of this crap. I understand you're trying to play as long as you can, and you're taking better care of your body and all of that crap, but I'm tired of it. I'm sick of wondering if my team is going to be at full strength and how many games you're going to end up losing because you rested guys. I'm sorry. I don't like to lose games because guys had to have a rest. They'd have a rest. What the hell's going on? Do we need nap time now? Nate, are we going to take nap times in the NBA?
Boy, I would love nap time right now. I got to tell you. So don't ask me that question because I'll say yes.
Yeah,
give me nap time.
Seeing the fact that tomorrow night we tomorrow night again, we didn't even have. We had an off day, and I understand we're going to have a back-to-back start Wednesday, Thursday, Miami, and then back home, I believe, against Toronto for the Cavs. But the fact that we are going to be sitting Mitchell and Mobley, and are already without Garland because of injury, and Strus because of injury, and we're going to be without Jalen Tyson because of injury. All of that, I know those things are different, and you're trying to manage it in as best a way as possible. But I'm sick of load management. Okay, I'm sick of load management. We need to get back to a spot where we need to stop playing. Yeah, okay. Hasn't got soft. It has gotten soft. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, as he said, it's gotten soft lately. That one, he corrected it to say it has gotten soft lately. But yeah, all the load management is what has me going nuclear this week, amongst other things, Nate. So, Nate, I will leave you with one more. Let's leave everybody with one final score update, because you all know that that nobody cares except for us fine people or my fine self.
Hey, listen, before you give the score update, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go nuclear part 2. You don't care about Maction. I don't care about you. Okay. Get out.
Love it. I love it. Kent State has retaken the lead on an 89-yard touchdown pass. The Golden Flash is ahead 14-10 in quarter number 2, under 3 minutes to go from Infocision Stadium. We are going to go check that out afterwards. So, Nate, thank you very much for coming back, for being on. We will be on again with you soon. Can't wait to have you on. This has been fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
and what do we have here? Michigan is 45 seconds away from losing.
I was just about to say, I have the game on my phone. Holy, with no Hunter Salas too. Wow.
That is
wow.
That
is because Hunter Salas is in the NBA now, but wow.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Well, anyway, so Nate.
Went to high school with him.
That is awesome. So, again, tell everyone where they can find you. And
yes. If you want to listen to me blabber on, I know you're probably sick of it already by now, which is fine. I get it a lot. It doesn't offend me. I know I talk a lot. Okay. Tie game in Ann Arbor now. Find me Tailgate Nate 29, wherever you like to peruse the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere else. Please go support everything I do. You want to see me in my journey to grow as high as I can in the ranks of the sports media world, please go ahead and go support. I work at a local radio station in Bellefonte. You can see me call some games, do some shows, post-game, whatever have you. If you want to follow me on YouTube and you want to hear me talk college football like I nerded out for probably about half an hour, I can nerd out for it for a lot longer, folks. Go down Tailgate Nate on YouTube. Otherwise, I mean,
what are your call letters? What are the call letters of your radio station?
Call letters. Oh boy. Oh, this is a fun one. WPKO 98.3 WPKO. Go to peakofohio.com. Peakofohio.com. You can listen to me on WPKO. You can listen to me on 106.9 The Bull or WBLL. Yeah, listen to me on there. Stream it. We have audio streaming. Oh, also Peak of Ohio TV, high school basketball.
I checked that out. So that is awesome, folks. Make sure you follow Nate on all of the social media. And then when you guys get back into the podcast, Prospects of the Land, if you're a Guardians fan, this is the go-to place. If you're there, you guys know what you're talking about. You know all the minor leagues, all the ins and outs there. Love it. Nate, thank you so much.
Yes.
Really, really appreciate this. We will.
Thank you for letting me take over your show.
Well, you saved my voice. I got to save it for tomorrow.
That's what I do. But you know what? I love that excuse. I'm going to start telling more people that.
Exactly. I will save it for maybe tomorrow. It looks like I'm going to do the alternate play-by-play, folks, for the Cavs on Playback TV. Follow at Going nuCLEar CLE. You can check me out the YouTube channel. You can check out the room on Playback TV. And wait a second. Oh boy, here we go. What's this? Sorry. Watson posted a hint update. If I have to see that jackalope on my field and my TV screen again, I'm going to lose my mind. You want to know what has me going nuCLEar? It's at POS Deshaun Trash Watson. Get out. You have ruined this team for 4 years and 5 years. Get out. Okay? Thank you. I'm going to say my piece here. I'm done with that ass clown. I'm so done with that ass clown. Namaste the hell out of the building. Go away. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes Mo. Nobody likes me. Nobody likes me. Mo. Why don't you like me? Nobody likes me. In the great words of Moses, I guess there it is. You got.
I just prayed to the football gods that they have some sense in their.
Yeah,
whatever.
They know that the backlash that'll come. I don't think he's ever going to be a franchise quarterback again. He is a despicable human being for whatever he did. Whether
you know what I got. All right, I know you want to end the show, but I just thought of this. I got to go nuCLEar Part 3. If you'll let me.
Go ahead.
Disney and Google, I am coming for you so hard. And nobody is in the right, okay? Nobody's in the right. It is Disney's fault that we are not watching college football on my television screen right now. I cannot have my 4 games on at once, okay? Disney, it is your fault. It is your fault that stuff is not on. You are giving YouTube TV the worst packages I have ever seen. You're making it all about you. But Google, I don't think you're out of the woods here, okay, Google? You've done this with Fox. You've done this with NBC. My friends of Hispanic and Latino population don't have the Spanish channels on your network because of this bull crap, you are also part of the problem. So why don't we try to recollect this here, okay? Streaming is supposed to be the way of the future. I can't go to Hulu. I don't have multi-view. I can't go to Fubo. I have to pay extra for what I want. Okay, let's just settle this. Let's make it all about the consumer, which it will never be, by the way. It'll never be about the consumer anymore. It'll be about who is going to make more money. And you know what's the best thing about this feud? It's all public. You can go read every single conversation in detail that these companies are having, and none of it is good.
All right, the mouse is going to come after you. All right. Anyway,
the mouse can come. ESPN is losing money. Disney is losing money. That's a fact.
It's a whole different ball game. Well, look, folks, thank you so much for joining in. And again, this is Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. We are part of the Fanatical Elves Network, and be sure to follow along all of their programming. Lots of talk about the Browns. Of course, I get a little bit into everything. And follow Nate everywhere, as mentioned on his social medias. This was fantastic. Thank you to all of our viewers and listeners who have tuned in this evening. So everybody, I hope everybody has a good night. And for Nate Bope, I'm Ethan Greenberg, and you've been tuned in to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land.